that you are joining us for the 310th episode of the Pancakes and Powerslams show. Of course, I am Chris Featherstone. This is live and living color, getting funky like a monkey, if you will. Ladies and gentlemen, the 310th episode on the road to WrestleMania, ladies and gentlemen. Fun weekly interview this week. We got a live Q&A with the former Impact Wrestling star and a former ROH star. We'll talk about his journey in both of those promotions during his stint, and just his overall thoughts and his overall stints for those promotions. And he has some really big events coming up here soon. One in particular this weekend, I believe, and we'll talk about that. We got Raw, we got SmackDown, we got Fastlane predictions. We got so much going on with so many headlines, so many stories. Flavor of the week this week is typically people say that the worst WrestleMania of all time is WrestleMania 9. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk and see what truly was the worst WrestleMania of all time, as the live chat through WrestlingInc.com. And we also have Wrestling Inc. Twitter. Go there, and of course the Pancakes and Powerslams show is now joining Wrestling Inc. for the YouTube page, so you'll be able to see the Pancakes and Powerslams show on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube page, as you saw it last week as well. A lot of awesome reviews from there, and a lot of great messages. So I appreciate your feedback, appreciate all the positive feedback, and all the awesome encouragement of the Pancakes and Power show. That's 310 episodes strong. Of course, submit your questions for this person that we're going to have a live Q&A with here right now. So without further ado, he is, ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Kingston. I am so happy to bring Eddie Kingston to the show. So how are you tonight, sir? Yes, 310 episodes. It'll be 6 years here in a few weeks, about 3 or 4 weeks. It'll be 6 years on the show altogether. Absolutely. So Eddie Kingston, it's so funny because I remember I first got hip to Eddie Kingston. I don't remember what year it was. Probably 2008 or 9, perhaps. When I got first hip to you as a competitor, is when ROH was on HDNet. So it was around that time. I don't remember exactly what the year was. Yeah. You were, yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, that's I don't remember what year that was. So it was probably 08, 09, maybe even 07 that I got hip to Eddie Kingston. So how in the world did you how were you able to land this job? Because before then you've competed for quite some time. So let the listeners know, how long have you been in the professional wrestling industry? What caused you to be a part of the wrestling industry, and how did you get your ROH opportunity?
I think like everybody loved it as a kid, you know what I mean? But when I got out of high school, I got a union job, worked for Local 580 in New York, iron workers. And one day, I was about 19 years old. I looked over and I saw a bunch of the older dudes that were working, and they were all coughing up lungs, and some of them were drinking on the job site. So I said to myself, there has to be something more. And it just clicked in my head. I said, why not do pro wrestling? I always played sports, and, as a kid and in high school. So I decided to look up wrestling schools and found a couple, and then that was it. Then I found Chikara, and just the rest is history, I guess you could say. And with ROH, I did a couple of shots for them before, when Dave Sapolsky was booking. It was here and there, and nothing full time. Then Adam Pierce, who every time I see him, I'm grateful for him.
Scrap iron.
Bring me in for that little, yep. He brought me in for that little run on HGNet.
Mm-hmm.
So after I got hooked up at Ring of Honor, felt like the third or fourth time I worked with him. So.
Yeah, you did have a few stints there. What are some of your favorite moments of being a part of the ROH roster when you were there? I know that there was some time. The Kings of Wrestling was real big at that time during the HDNet days, and I know that you had you know your moments in ROH as well. What are some favorites that stand out for you?
Anytime I got the slap Chris Hero in the face, was
Of course.
Up in Homicide later on when they moved to the St. Clair network.
Yep.
My match for Kevin Steen.
Mm-hmm.
When they were with St. Clair as well. So yeah, there's little moments like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, how would you kind of evaluate your time in Ring of Honor? I know that it really, I mean, I guess from a television standpoint, it really helped put you on the map as far as popularity is concerned. You know, you mentioned Chikara. Chikara's definitely one of the most popular independent promotions. But when Ring of Honor really got some television exposure, I know that really helped you. So, what are your overall take on just your stint or multiple during the Ring of Honor time?
Well, anywhere I go, I feel blessed and lucky to be there, and I try to take the positive out of everything.
Yeah.
If there was negative stuff, I'm not saying there was at Ring of Honor, but other places and stuff. But no, I had a blast at Ring of Honor and everything I did there. You know what I mean? I guess you could say that's a political answer, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? No matter what, I had fun in the ring with the guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's what it means the most to me, and I left that company not injured. So about that, like that. So at the end of the day, that's the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the.
So I'm not with Ring of Honor, and I haven't been with them in years. But you know what I mean? It's not like I have any ill will towards them.
Mm-hmm.
I wish them nothing but the best.
Certainly. So as far, there's so many, teams that you've went against and so many people that you've went against from Ring of Honor. You mentioned Homicide with, I believe it was Outlaw Inc. That you guys were a part of. Had some Final Battle. I think it was Red Dragon that you guys went against. How was that experience just going against Fish and O'Reilly and just your thoughts on them being a part of NXT now?
Well, I've known Bobby Fish for a long time, and I'm real happy for him to get an opportunity. He's a journeyman.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Kyle when he first broke in, so to see him go from where he started to where he is now, it's a really cool thing to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The match with them could have been a lot better. There were things that happened outside the ring that night. Things happen. That led to our first suspension.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Then. Didn't really turn out as possible.
When you get two outlaws together, what do you expect? It's not a gimmick.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's a way of life. It becomes a way of life. Yeah. Absolutely. So it was really interesting with your TNA run. It didn't last very long, but it's funny because I followed you during the HNet days. So that was I don't remember years, probably 10 years ago, close to or around 10 years ago, and I was very familiar with you, just CZW, PWG as well. And when you became a part of the DCC, that was. It made sense to me. It just totally made sense to me because first you guys were maxed, and then you led up to unmasking, and then the DCC occurred, and it just made sense to me as far as just a rebellious kind of outlaw, like you would say, and like your team name was in ROH. It made sense. Now, who was it that was responsible into breaking you into Impact, and who came up with the idea of the DCC?
The DCC was on James Storm.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've been backstage a couple times at Impact, just saying what's up to people that I know there and stuff. And James Storm came to me with the idea, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm ready to get paid and do whatever." And then he said he wanted Bram a part of it, and I know Bram for a while, so just made sense to me. That's my Bam Bam, as I call him. That's my homeboy.
Mm-hmm.
So it just made sense, and then it just went from there.
Yeah. I think it was pretty cool, but I mean, I'm personally, and I can say probably some other people feel the same way. It seems like the DCC was cut short so just drastically for some reason. Like it just there was a really positive type of spin to it. The masking and even the part of the unmasking, it still kind of works as far as just the mystique of it and just a rebel type of nature. What was it that caused it to be just to go like a sharp turn? Because like James Storm kind of made a babyface turn, broke away from the DCC, and just went back to the whole cowboy gimmick. I remember. What was it that kind of caused that turn? Was there some issue with creative? Was it just somebody from the back that just wasn't really invested into anymore? What happened there?
Real plain and simple. It was a change in management.
Mm.
When that happens, when there's a change in management, they're gonna do what they think is best.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought splitting up the DCC was the best for their vision. So it was really nothing really crazy, nothing really too deep. You know what I mean? It was just the new management had a different vision, and that was it.
Yeah. So I mean, how your tenure there didn't last long after that? It just kind of, did you get right? So with the change of management, was it that? Did they write you off? Were there discussions of using you more, or was it just a short deal from the first place?
Oh no, it was just a short deal. It was a year deal, and
Mm-hmm.
When the DCC broke off, like I said, management had their own ideas, and the new management had their own ideas that they knew where to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And granted, now, if you would have talked to me a month after all this went down, you'd probably be hearing a totally different story. My New Yorker would have been coming out of me, you know what I mean? But after so long and sitting back and thinking about it, this is just part of the business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the business plan, it's a business plan. Or like I like to tell people, it's like a football playbook. You know what I mean? We had this one playbook when the one management was there.
Mm-hmm.
We had their playbook, and DCC was part of that playbook.
That makes sense.
So was Eddie Kingston, so was Bram, all that stuff. Well, when the new head coach, a.k.a. when the new management came in, the new playbook came in.
Mm-hmm.
And we just, me and Bram just didn't fit their new playbook. Now, again, like I said, if you would have told to me a month afterwards, I probably wouldn't have took the interview a month afterwards. I would have probably buried myself really bad. You know?
Yeah, time heals wounds.
You told me beforehand, it's a PG show. You would have to believe me a lot. You know what I mean? But,
yeah, heavy editing.
I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It gives it time heals all wounds, and also just sitting back thinking about it, I'm like, well, it was their move, it was their decision, they were in charge, and I can't get mad about that because that's part of the business.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, like, it's just the way it is, I could have played a factor in it. There's things I could have done better there as well, you know what I mean, to make sure that I was part of their playbook.
Yeah.
So, you got to take, I can blame management all I want, but guess what? At the end of the day, I got to look at myself and see what I did wrong or whatever. So
it's a good point.
That's what it is at this point.
Yeah. That's definitely a good point. Absolutely. I mean, was it a matter of so this is the end of 2017. So this was the Anthem transition, right?
Yeah, Anthem came in, you know what I mean, and they came in with their own guys, and they have their own vision.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I can't knock it. You know what I mean? Like I said, man, sitting back thinking about it, I was like, well, yeah, I would have. Yeah, no, I get it. I would have done the same thing, or I would have done this, or I would have done that, you know?
Yeah.
Now, ego-wise, I would have said, put me on TV and I'll make you money. That's the ego talking. But, you know, I can definitely see their point and their side of things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the bottom line. I'm not in charge. They are. So
Right.
They make the decisions, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely a very mature and professional way to to look at it. I applaud you for that. And
It took me months to get there.
yeah. That's what I was going to. Yeah, I was going to say. You know, it's good that you know, we didn't speak at the end of last year, a few months ago, about it, because I'm sure it would have been much different. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the business being the way it is. It's the way it is, man. You're not going to reinvent the wheel, you know?
That's right. That's right. And
even though sometimes I want to smash the wheel.
but the wheel, you know, that's a good point too. You want to smash it, but at the same time, the wheel is paying your bills. So that's one of those things. So yeah. Now this time, so at this time, was Jared around as well?
Yeah, Jeff came in, you know what I mean, and he was doing his thing there. He was, you know, bringing in his guys and doing what he thought was best for the company at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. What are your thoughts on him joining the list of WWE Hall of Famers?
Well, first of all, you know, I hit him up and I second passed to him. You know what I mean? After what, you know, was publicized, what he was going through, it was great to see him do that. But also, you know, I'm happy that from what I understand that he's much better now. He's sober. He's better now. He's living a healthier life. So, you know what I mean? I think that's better than the Hall of Fame, but it goes hand in hand. You know what I mean? You start living better, than good things happen. You know.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
Good.
Just happy for him that, like I said, happy for him about the whole thing, but even happier about his personal life, getting everything together, you know?
Absolutely. Got a question here. Speaking of Impact, current Impact wrestling star Alberto El Patron, there's some talks of him potentially going back to the WWE. Your thoughts on WWE trying to negotiate some stuff with him? Have you worked with El Patron, and what are your thoughts on him possibly going back to the WWE?
No, I didn't have the opportunity to work with him, but a couple of my friends have worked with him or worked against him, all that stuff. Why not? You know what I mean? The dude's a superstar. Why not? Why wouldn't you want him on your TV product or on your wrestling show?
Yeah, absolutely.
He looks like $1 million. He can talk. He can go in the ring. It's been proven, you know?
Yeah.
People can say whatever, man. The proof's in the pudding, you know? I tell everybody, the proof's in the pudding, man. You can say whatever, this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy, but if the guy goes in there and gets people's attentions and draws people in and all that stuff, you can't knock it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the biggest criticism that people have with El Patron is just the seemingly acrimonious relationship that he's had with WWE, and just will this time be good? So I'm sure that you're familiar with just being an emotional person that you are. How is it working deals? You like the segue here? How is it working deals with just people? I mean, how does that work? I mean, how does that look like as far as just making deals, just as far as Impact Wrestling is concerned? You know, ROH. You competed for two of the biggest companies, in America. How does that usually work? And has Eddie Kingston built a positive or a negative reputation as far as promoters?
All the way negative. One thing I do pride myself on is people know I'm very honest. There's no, I can't curse. There's no, there we go. There's no bull behind me. What I say is what I mean. And if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Yeah.
That's all it is with that. Like, I'm going to go in there. And also, they know whatever I do in the ring is as real as it can get in our profession. You know, I just go out there, man. I give everything I got, and I've been doing that for 16 years. And I don't regret nothing.
Absolutely.
No regret on anything I've done. It wouldn't be me if I did it any other way. You know, so now negotiating with me is pretty simple, man. You do right by me, I do right by you. You know what I mean? If something's wrong, tell me, and we'll fix it.
Yeah.
But things are just, you know, I got to learn the other side of the game.
Yeah.
Things don't always work out like that. I got to take the street attitude out of it as well.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to do that, though. I'm learning how to do that.
Yeah, it takes time when you're so used to of one area, you know, one way, you know, for so long. It takes time to kind of look at things differently. And so, but yeah, I mean, you've been in the game for 16 years. You're
especially when, you know, again, I've been making a living off wrestling. I think after my 7th or 8th year in the business, I was able to make a living off it. But before that, again, I was still iron working on the side. And you know what I mean? You're on the job site with guys doing construction is not really the best way to learn how to play the supposed game or all that stuff. You know what I mean? When you have guys cursing or, you know, cursing at their foreman and leaving and going back to the union hall and you get a job the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a different type of business. You know what I mean? That's what I learned. And, you know what I mean? You got to break it out. You know what I mean? If I want to make some type of impact, no pun intended, on this business or sport, you know what I mean? You got to learn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I love being at Impact. It taught me a lot. Jeff Jarrett taught me a lot. Homicide taught me a lot. Man taught me a lot. Like that whole business side of it, they taught me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was, and you know, it doesn't matter how long you're in the business. There's always growth. I mean, that's really with life. I mean, you know, it's just no matter how. That's right. Absolutely. That is absolutely correct. 100%. Eddie, it's been a pleasure. You've got a big event coming up here, so let the listeners know about that as well as any other dates you got coming up.
Yeah, March 10th. I'm in for AIW. I guess you could say they're like the EC, almost like ECW-ish. In Ohio, and they're going to be in Akron for the first time. And I'm taking on the Akron's prodigal son, you know, Dom, the little judo BJJ shooter guy. And you know, I mean, that should definitely be fun. People in Akron should come out, check it out. Check out AIW. I know they're on Twitter and all that. And then the next day, I'm in Atlanta for Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment, AWE. You know, they should go check that out. And if they want to follow me or check me out, go to Mad King 1981 on Twitter. I think that's what it is. I don't know if it's Mad Kingston or Mad King 1981, one of those two. And Eddie Kingston 81 on Instagram. I'm on that thing more than Twitter anyway.
Perfect.
I like pictures.
I'm
a picture guy.
You like pictures?
But yeah, you can follow me there. And yeah. I don't read books unless there's pictures of them. And then you can follow me there, see what I'm up to, see what's going on, where I'm going to be at. You know what I mean? I'm busy. I'm the independent, still grinding, still doing my thing. Still learning, still looking for something. I don't know what, but it's something.
I'm gonna challenge you, Eddie. You've been in the game for 16 years now, and I'm sure you've never used this line in a promo. So I'm challenging you to do this. The next promo or whatever promo that you have within the next month or so you don't forget, you have to use the line, I don't read books unless there's pictures in them. You got to use that line.
I definitely will. I will find a way to get that in there somewhere.
Yes, and if you Yes, and send the video to me, and I will share it. And yes, I'm looking forward to that. Have somebody video. I'm sure everybody, there's videos everywhere of events that you have when you use. Exactly. Exactly. So when you use that line, I don't read books unless there's pictures in them. Let me know, and I will laugh hysterically and share it.
No, of course, man, of course. I also just want to say one more thing, man.
Yeah.
Anybody out there knows Davey? If anybody out there knows Davey Vega or follows him on Twitter, all that stuff, do me a favor and harass him for me. He's a real bad person. Get on him.
Be sure to. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the emotional side of Eddie Kingston. Absolutely. Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
No, man, thank you very much, man. Thank you to everybody. Listening, not listening, whoever.
Have a good night. Thanks, Eddie.
All right, thank you, buddy. You too.
Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a pretty fun interview from former Ring of Honor star Eddie Kingston, ladies and gentlemen, former Impact Wrestling star as well. 16 years in the game, Eddie Kingston. Just awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of the interview with Eddie Kingston, ladies and gentlemen. So we got a loaded show tonight. So without further ado, it is time. You know what time it is. Headline time. Here we go. So, Hillbilly Jim is now in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's about to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's entering the WWE Hall of Fame. And just overall thoughts on that. I think that this is a fantastic move. I am a big proponent of that. I think it's a great idea, and I definitely think that that's something that's it's something that is long overdue, and it's something that's it's not. See, I think with the Hillbilly Jim, it's not a matter of was this person champion, was this person a wrestler, an amazing wrestler. It's not. That's not the point. The point is for the character himself. He is a legend, and this is my personal opinion. Hillbilly Jim is a legend in the WWE. Title, no title, whatever you want to say. I think it's very, very well deserved for Hillbilly Jim to be in the Hall of Fame. Hillbilly Jim was a part of 1980s wrestling, when the heyday of 80s wrestling, and just it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible and so character driven, and he was such an amazing baby face, and he really, really knew how to work the crowd. I remember when I was a kid, I always wanted a horseshoe necklace, a horseshoe chain necklace that Hillbilly Jim had, and he would always kiss that horseshoe chain necklace. And I remember I had one of those thumb wrestler dolls of the Hillbilly Jim, and it was absolutely incredible. I had a bunch of those thumb wrestling dolls, and I had a ring. And I remember that it just lit up my day that Hillbilly Jim, among others, was a part of my collection of WWE figures, the thumb wrestling figures. And I had a bunch. I had dolls and bigger figures than thumb wrestling figures, but it was just so amazing that Hillbilly Jim was a part of my collection. And yeah, I mean, he was definitely legendary in the making. He was, to me, he was really instrumental in really helping just develop the excitement and intensity of the WWE back in the 80s. Yeah, he wasn't, part of some, elaborate storyline. He had some times with Andre the Giant, and he had some other, feuds as well. But, it wasn't really about that, when it came to Hillbilly Jim. It was the fact that he was legendary. He was a legendary figure because of his character being so larger than life that people just clung, just really attached themselves to the character of Hillbilly Jim. And it's so funny because when he was on the Legends House, he seemed like a really, really cool, humble person, and he was probably one of the only people that was level-headed, in the Legends House. I watched a few episodes of that. I really didn't get into it as much, but I did watch a few episodes of the Legends House, and he just seemed like he was the only one that was really level-headed among all of them. Piper and Patterson and Oakland were the three that was kind of all over the place. Atlas had his moments as well. But yeah, it was really cool to see Hillbilly Jim. Really cool to see him back in the WrestleMania 17 gimmick battle royal. He looked great at that time, but that was a while ago. That was like 17. It's crazy that was 17 years ago. WrestleMania 17 was 17 years ago. Time. It's crazy how much time flies. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the last time we saw him in the WWE. It was 17 years ago? So that was the Royal. And it looked great. I mean, I haven't seen any pictures of Hillbilly Jim in the past, 5 or so years. But I'd imagine that, he's still in really good shape. I'm not sure how old he is. I can find that out real quick as far as his age is concerned. But at that time, he was older, and he still looked great. So, to come out in overalls and don't go messing with the country boy. So yeah, TMZ just interviewed on him. WWE Hall of Fame is a dadgum dream. So, absolutely. So he's 65 wow, 65 years old. So, wow. So he'll be 66 here a day after Independence Day. That's incredible. 66 years old. And I'm looking at recent pictures, and he still looks great at 66. Stuff like that just really, it really brightens me up, just as far as just seeing people, because I've had over 100 guests on my show in the past 6 years, probably double that from repeated guests, and I've had so many conversations with so many people off air as far as just it gets really sad to see somebody who's been in the business for so long that is really it's really kind of clawing and scratching to still kind of make ends meet. And I go to independent shows, and it gets really sad to see some of these people just kind of really claw and scratch themselves and it's like, man, you can tell if this person is still depending on these shows, to make them a couple bucks, and it's just, it gets really sad to see people who's been wrestling for so long. Now, granted, there's still some people who can go, like my buddy Bobby Fulton at World Classic, professional big time wrestling, him and Shane Douglas, and watched the Sandman looks great still. And I've been to a bunch of other independent shows as well that I've seen people who can still go. But at the same time, you still have other people who, and some other shows that I've been to that looks quite sad, and I'm like, man, I just really wish that you would retire and save and do all that good stuff, and I just riotously spend your money, but at the same time, and they look, very sad, and it's like I feel empathetic, or sympathetic towards them. But with Hillbilly Jim, it just seems like he's just living and loving life. He had, because here's one good thing about Hillbilly Jim. Hillbilly Jim didn't. I mean, he knew his place. He knew his place in the sport of professional wrestling. He knew not to overdo it. He knew not to, be involved. Just and oversaturate his gimmick. His gimmick was so strong back in the '80s that he didn't oversaturate it by going to WCW, and just having some type of heel turn or, just doing something just way odd, with his gimmick. He stayed tried and true. He was introduced by Hulk Hogan. He was a country boy from Muttlett, Kentucky, and he stayed his course. And he was so good at what he did that he became a legend because he didn't alter the legendary status and his character that was so big. And I, mad respect for that. Mad respect for that because, you have so many people who, and rightfully so, if this is your deal, if this is your livelihood of professional wrestling, you have to be flexible, to be able to make those decisions to, become a face, become a heel, go here, go there. I understand that totally. I totally understand that. I've been a pro wrestling journalist for almost 10 years now, actually over 10 years now, and I get it. I totally understand just, people being flexible. I have many people in the wrestling business who are wrestlers now, who are still very flexible with just their gimmick and things like that. So I understand. I understand. However, people like Hillbilly Jim, who looks like an anomaly. He's big old just country boy. With the overalls and the horseshoe necklace, big old country boy, Hillbilly Jim, and that's somebody who created a character that was a lasting impression to people. People, remember Hillbilly Jim from their youth, and he created a legend. Of course, WWE, basically created it, but he was available, and he played the part very well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be attending the Hall of Fame. And I'm really, really looking forward to just his speech and, who's going to induct him. That would be interesting to see. And now I think that brings an even interesting topic because it seems as if it seems like Hulk Hogan has to induct Hillbilly Jim, right? I mean, with all of the craziness and turmoil that's going on with Hulk Hogan, it would make sense if he inducted, Hillbilly Jim in the Hall of Fame, but then you say, does that mean an unofficial return for Hulk Hogan? I mean, even if it's a one-off, it just would make sense if Hulk Hogan inducted Hillbilly Jim I honestly can't think of anyone who's still alive who would be a suitable replacement to induct Hillbilly Jim into the Hall of Fame, except for the person who brought him into the WWF storyline, brought him into the WWE, brought him in the business. They wrote it in storyline, and he got him from the crowd and kind of trained him and, showed him the ropes. And I honestly don't think anyone else should do it but Hulk Hogan. It makes perfect sense. And then you have so many stories of Hulk Hogan and is Hulk Hogan back? Hulk Hogan's going to induct Hillbilly Jim in the Hall of Fame. Does that mean a return? They did play a lot of Hulk Hogan footage on Raw when they made the announcement of Hillbilly Jim. So really it should be very interesting to see what they're going to do. Once again, a special shout out to Eddie Kingston for coming on the show tonight. And of course, we are live on the Wrestling Inc. Facebook page, and we also we'll be having the Pancakes and Powerslams show on YouTube, Wrestling Inc. YouTube. So go to the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel to check out the Pancakes and Powerslams shows as well. Next headline we have is Rey Mysterio. So, okay, so there was a report that Rey Mysterio could be in heavy negotiations with WWE to compete against John Cena. So it seemed as if it was a left field report. It was from Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated. And so, yeah, it's not going to happen most likely. But, well, unfortunately with Rey Mysterio, he's injured. It was a bicep that he tore for an indie show. I think it was like Northeast Wrestling, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was teaming with Flip Gordon, and he injured. I think it was a bicep, maybe tricep, but I think it was his bicep. So I mean, torn bicep, torn tricep. That's if it's a complete tear. So if it's a partial tear, we'll see. I mean, of course, as information continues to unfold, but he potentially missed out on his big break to have a big money match against whoever it was. That report was not accurate as far as I heard. As far as John Cena going against Mysterio, as far as I know, it's still Cena Taker. But if he was kind of priming himself and grooming himself to be on the WrestleMania card, I'm sure that there was somewhere to put him. That he could have been in a pretty good match. So I'm sure it would have been very, I would have been okay with Mysterio versus Jinder Mahal, or throwing Mysterio in the U.S. title match. But I guess with Mysterio, it probably makes sense if he was a part of like a marquee match, a one-on-one. If he is a part of a multiple person match, it kind of would defeat the purpose of him, having his big return. So and in that sense, it goes back to where in the world do you put the guy? As far as just where does he go if he comes back? If it's not Cena, it's definitely not going to be AJ, because AJ, is we'll have the Elimination Chamber predictions at the end of the show, but I think it's pretty much a lock that we'll see AJ versus Nakamura at WrestleMania. So where in the world does that leave Rey Mysterio? So it should be very interesting to see if he does come back. If it is not as bad as it could be, and he does make a big WrestleMania return, a WrestleMania appearance, it should be interesting to see where they'll put him. Hopefully they'll just throw him somewhere. But at the same time, if they did do a deal with Mysterio before he got injured, it may need to have may need to change it up a little bit and probably put him in the Andre Battle Royal. So we shall see. We shall see where Rey Mysterio will go. But it's terrible that he's injured. It really is. I mean, it's really terrible that he just suffers this injury weeks before WrestleMania. I mean, that's talk about. I mean, no good time. No timing is good to have an injury. Of course not. But at the same time, it just seems like the most inopportune time. And Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe can attest to this. The most inopportune time to suffer an injury is certainly right before WrestleMania. So we'll see where it goes with Rey Mysterio. So let's go back to this Alberto Del Rio, Alberto El Patron conversation here. So according to PW Insider, WWE and Alberto Del Rio, Alberto El Patron, has some discussions last week at the WWE headquarters, and apparently there was some interest in bringing back Alberto El Patron. So, I mean, what do you do? I mean, it's really, at this point, it'll be his third stint back, And I can definitely understand what Eddie Kingston's talking about. He makes a good point as far as just he's making money. He looks like $1 million. I get that, but just like I said, there was an acrimonious relationship between Del Rio and WWE. I mean, I've listened to plenty of interviews. I've listened to plenty of interviews with Del Rio. Del Rio's agent actually contacted me a few months ago to bring him on the show, and we couldn't get to a time and date together. So I've listened to plenty of Del Rio's comments. I've known people I know people who knows Del Rio. We'll have conversations about things that he's said. So he's been very vocal about his stints in WWE, and he's even had an interview probably late last year, middle last year, sometime. I think it was probably like in October. I think it was either October or November. He had an interview saying that he can make more money or makes more money competing in the independents than he does in WWE. So, if this is true and he was actually, meeting with WWE over over some possible returning, here's my thoughts on it. What happens if the same thing happens for the fourth time, for the third time? He had, a very successful stint in 2011, won the Royal Rumble, main event. Well, he was a part of a main event at WrestleMania. Then it kind of took a turn to the left when he didn't win his WrestleMania match, nor did he win I think it was like an Extreme Rules ladder match that when Christian won, his championship, World Heavyweight Championship. But then he won the Money in the Bank. He cashed it in to beat Punk. So, I mean, he had a good feud with John Cena over the title. So, he's had the title 4 times in WWE. I think he won the World Heavyweight Championship twice, and I think he won the WWE Championship twice, if I'm not mistaken. So he's had quite a, successful WWE career. It's just that, he wasn't a big fan of just the way he was utilized toward the end of both times. He came in, defeated John Cena to win the U.S. Championship at the Open Challenge, for a second stint. And then, that led to multiple losses against Kalisto and the League of Nations, which was probably one of the most worst put together factions that the WWE ever had. So, it would be interesting to see if Del Rio comes back. It really would be. To see, and where do you put him? I mean, you don't put him back in the main event, do you? I mean, Del Rio back in the main event. However you could with the brand split, because the split wasn't around the second stint. I think that if you put him on SmackDown, I think he'd be a really strong heel on SmackDown, a main event heel on SmackDown. But at the same time, SmackDown has plenty of heels. So, SmackDown has plenty of heels. I mean, do you put them on Raw? Do you feud them with Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship? Not quite sure about that. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Let's see. Yeah, 2-time WWE champion, 2-time heavyweight champion, World Heavyweight Champion, 2-time U.S. champ. So, 6 single titles run in WWE, and So yeah, he had a pretty good career there. So I think he'd be totally fine there. Trivia question: who won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania 8? How about that? Quick in your face. Quick in your face. Trivia question there. That came from nowhere. All right, next headline. So Gronk, New England Patriots, Rob Gronkowski. Further speculation of him joining the WWE, and he's he could play the celebrity factor. I definitely don't. He's not as big of a name. Yes, Bret Hart. Good job, Luke. Absolutely, Bret Hitman Hart. Here's the next question. Here we go. Who did The Undertaker beat at WrestleMania 11? Who did The Undertaker beat at WrestleMania 11? So as far as Gronkowski is concerned, I mean he's an anomaly. He's I think he'll be a good addition to WWE as far as the celebrity factor, like during WrestleMania or SummerSlam. He'd be a good SummerSlam type deal. But here's the thing: are they purposely leaving Mojo Rawley off of TV because he hasn't been on TV for a while? He wasn't on SmackDown. He hasn't been on TV for a while. So are they purposely leaving Gronk? Are they purposely leaving Mojo off of television because they realize that this heel run with Mojo was just bad news? It was just kind of terrible, and I'm wondering if WWE is just saying, are we going to save Mojo for Gronk? Because if Gronk comes in as, if he signs a contract with WWE, it would make perfect sense for him to be aligned with Mojo Rawley. And they can't do it as heels because, coming in as a celebrity and coming in as a heel, that really wouldn't make much sense. So, we'll see that. We'll see about that. We got a comment here saying would like to see Brock win and resign with WWE. I don't think so. If he resigns, I mean, of course it'll be, it'll be positive for WWE because he helps them with this angle going on. Which, by the way, Roman Reigns last week and this week cut two of his best promos in WWE history, and during his time in WWE. Fantastic way to turn the crowd. And I said this before we get to Raw. I said this. I'm gonna make this very clear. King Kong Bunny, absolutely great job, Luke. I said this, and I'm gonna make it very clear before I forget. If I wouldn't have forgotten, but just in case it might have slipped my mind during this episode, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna make it very clear as far as how I feel. I think that Brock Lesnar should not appear next week on Raw. I believe it's going to be in Detroit. Brock Lesnar should not appear. Just imagine, and I tweeted this last night on Raw, during Raw. Just imagine the heat that Brock Lesnar would receive if he's advertised for another appearance and he does not show. Oh, man. I mean, talk about heat. That would tip the iceberg right there. He got heat from Chicago, and Chicago is probably the markiest town in the nation, and he got some heat from Chicago, that's for sure. They cheered him. And he beat Kane in 35 seconds, and he, did the whole thing. I'm going to get my money and leave, take my money and go home, take my ball, take my title and go home. He played that gimmick. He did it well, and Chicago booed him, and mission accomplished. So Detroit, I think he should do the same thing. I think Paul Heyman, you don't want to oversaturate Paul Heyman coming out because, his promos, he's a great promo guy, no doubt, but his promos are getting a little bit monotonous and just not as impactful as it was 3 years ago when they were feuding against each other. But I tell you, if Paul Heyman came out next week, Roman Reigns comes out, cuts a promo, Paul Heyman comes out, cuts a promo, and says something like, the reigning, defending, undisputed WWE champion is not here today. Oh, the place will erupt. It just, they have to do it. They have to do it. If you, WWE, if you are listening or if you are looking right now, look at me, WWE. You must do this. You must do this. You must not have Brock Lesnar show up in Detroit next Monday on Raw. If you want Roman Reigns to successfully be that babyface that you want, that you're asking for, do not have Brock Lesnar show up on Raw. That will do the trick. So we'll see. We'll see if it goes. Because what is a face-off going to do? What is a face-off going to do? We're tired of the face-offs. The face-off that they had a while, was it the Raw before Mania in 2001? I'm sorry, 2015 WrestleMania was 31. WrestleMania 31. The Raw that they had before that, when they were like trying to grab the WWE title, and that was just the weirdest looking, oddest looking segment that WWE had, and it just really made both Lesnar and Reigns look really, really weird. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find it when they were just just having like, well, it's mine. Well, it's mine. It really made both of them. There it is. It made both of them look really, really, really odd and like super stupid. And I'm trying to find a good picture to share here. Here we go. Here's the picture here. Oh man, this is absolutely terrible here. I'm going to pull up the image here, and I'm going to pull it up, and I'm going to show it. I'm going to do my best to show this image here. Here it is. Here's the image, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that terrible? Isn't that just terrible? Very, very, very terrible. No, it's my title. No, it's my title. I don't know how much you can see on that. Yeah, just absolutely terrible. Got a comment. No. Say he is not there. Then from be there. Okay. And then beat up Roman. No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, because who is that going to help? That's going to put I don't think that's really going to put heat on Brock. I really don't think that's going to put heat on Brock, because at this point you're thinking about changing the game. Putting the pops on Roman Reigns, and that's what the plan is. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But if you do that, though, if you say, hey, he's not here, and then he rushes him from behind, I mean, that could leave an impression, but at the same time, I think that would take away from the whole part of him not being there. The heat is not in faking that he's not there and him just not appearing. The heat is what Roman Reigns was saying, that he just doesn't care. I don't want to be here. I'm just taking my ball and go home. I'm taking my money. I'm just here for the money. I don't care about the sport. I don't care about the fans. That is the angle that they're doing with Brock Lesnar right now. So if he says, if Heyman says, okay, well, Brock Lesnar's not here and he shows up, I don't think that will really draw heat because Roman Reigns, people are booing Roman Reigns. So if you want to get him cheered, don't put the emphasis on Roman Reigns. Put the emphasis on Brock Lesnar, because we're already going somewhere here. We're already going somewhere positive here, that the fans are like, whoa, wait a minute. He's got a point there. When Roman Reigns, they were cheering the fact that he had a point. He had a very, very valid point that, oh, wait a minute. He's only had 5 pay-per-view matches, since WrestleMania, and he's been champ for about a year, rarely defends it, and doesn't make appearances, just comes in and goes out. I'm here, every day, busting my butt. I've got a family blood, family heritage. Brock Lesnar just comes in here, does whatever he wants to, comes and goes, and that's it. But if he's like, okay, well, Heyman's like, well, he's not here again, that's kind of planned. I mean, it makes it seem less of a shoot. It makes it seem like it's all kind of gimmicked. But if he just doesn't show up, I mean, it's one of those things like Roman Reigns is like, see, I told you. Now, if he shows up on the Raw right before I get you and I like your point, I appreciate that. And I think I think that you want to, like I said, that you want to keep that heat on Brock Lesnar. I mean, you just want to. If he shows up the Raw before Mania, I'm okay with that. The go home show up, it's fine. I think by that point the fans get it. If Brock Lesnar shows up, and this is what I would do even the Raw before WrestleMania. I would tease this big encounter. See, this has to happen. It has to be like a combustible element right before Mania. So no touching, no physicality. I'm totally okay with them not doing that picture that I just showed. Don't do that, because it was weird, it was corny, it was cheesy, and it really didn't do too much to set up the main event for WrestleMania 31. Don't have any confrontation, don't have any type of physicality, none of that. This is what I would do the Raw before Mania. I would advertise for Brock Lesnar to be there, so people, would say, okay, is he there? Is he going to be there? Already have a very, very negative connotation, very, very negative flag towards the fact that he's just missing appearances, which is further proving the point of Roman Reigns. And here's the thing. I would have Brock Lesnar come in. I would have his, music go off, and I would have Roman Reigns in the ring again, ready to go, ready to have this confrontation. So the fans are getting excited that we're going to see this clash between Reigns and Lesnar. I would have, here's the ring. I would have Lesnar come up to the ring. He can even jump on the ring, and I would have him jump right back off and go right to the back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd do it for you. I definitely think that he should do that. Oh, that would be so much heat, and that would be so much excitement and anticipation for Lesnar versus Reigns, because Lesnar's got all this heat. He's got all this heat, and that's the amazing point about WrestleMania. And we got some comments about what I just said. Okay, so a few shows ago, real quick, a few shows ago, and so many people know that Booker T is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But he could be a little quirky. He could be a little interesting when he speaks. Many comments that people say that about Booker T, the Booker Man. And I listened to his Heated Conversations podcast. I've listened to several of them. I've written plenty of articles about them. And he was doing this promo. He was doing this promo right before his Heated Conversations promo. Heated Conversations podcast, and I think it was about booking. And I think it was about booking him to like do a show or something, speaking engagement show. So his booking agent, I think it's his co-host as well, is Brad Gilmore. And so he was telling people, hey, if you want to book me, go to Brad Gilmore. And at the end of the promo, he said, do it now. Do it for you. And I just thought I busted out laughing when I heard that, because I'm thinking in my head, what in the heck are you talking about, Booker T? I thought it was hilarious. And it fits in so much of what people talk about, just his quirkiness and like, what in the world are you talking about? Do it now. Do it for you. And so that's like a running joke on the Pancakes and Powerslams show. I haven't said it in the past few weeks, but I'm so glad that I remembered to say it again. And that's and that, that whole Brock Lesnar thing. I got another comment, and with that all going on, I would also have Paul talk about how Heyman guys always leave the WWE, like CM Punk. Oh, okay, because there are things bigger than the WWE that would help the no-show. Well done. I like that. I like that idea. I'll give you an applause for that. I think that's fantastic. I would say the same thing. And just imagine how much heat that would be. And like I said before, I'm a traditional wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling fan for over 30 years. And I have seen it. I've seen it when people draw heat and people they just want them to lose. I can't stand him. I can't stand her. And they draw so much heat that they want that baby face to just dethrone them, take them out. And that's one of the biggest problems that the WWE does not have nowadays. That they just don't they just don't do it. I can't say they don't understand it, because white heat, that's exactly. I can't say they don't understand it, because Vince McMahon was, he was the man then, and he's the man now. So it's been the same person. Of course, they had Vince Sr., in the generation before Vince, but I mean, since late 70s, early 80s, Vince McMahon's been the guy. So he's been a part of, the planning process for the past almost 40 years. So saying that he don't understand it it's not accurate, because he's seen it, he's planned it, he's booked it, he's okayed it, as far as just those characters. And so many people say things evolve, blah blah blah. That just because they evolve doesn't mean that they're good. Because specifically with professional wrestling, having these matches, it takes so much away from just who are we rooting for. We're so into this match. We want this person to take out this just dastardly heel, this terrible, just grimacing, grimy villain, and I think they're heading there. I think they got a chance with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. And if you keep building this heat up, no clash, no physicality. Do not do it. There's no benefit to it. Do not have any physicality, because what that would do is that would say, okay, so I'm getting all this is combustible. I'm having all this heat on Brock Lesnar, Oh, now I mean, Roman Reigns has been right the whole time. I wanted to take out Brock Lesnar, and there you go. That just changed the whole direction as far as WrestleMania is concerned. Absolutely. Flair bring the Eve back to WWE. Yeah. It's and Flair was a master of it. Oh, Flair was a master of it. He knew how to draw heat like the back of his hand. He he drew heat in his sleep, and it was great. And so he knew how to do it. And there was a few other Rick Rude. Oh, Rick Rude was an amazing heat magnet. He knew how to draw some heat. I always say this. Last year was a part of a Q&A with Ric Flair, Sting, and JR, and I asked a question to him. I said, what is your, what are your thoughts of just the dynamic of baby faces and heels? And Sting said, hey, listen, I'm old school. I respect the art of the baby face and the heel. And he said something so profound, and I've said it before. And he said, listen, if there's not a good baby face, if there's not a good heel, there's not a good baby face. He needed the strong heels to be a part, to really make him who he was as a one of the best baby faces of all time. If it wasn't for Ric Flair being such a heat magnet, Sting wouldn't be as popular as he was. Steamboat wouldn't be as popular as he was. TA wouldn't be as. Tully Blanchard was a great heat magnet too. His feud with Magnum TA was incredible. Their cage match at the Starrcade. It was absolutely fantastic. There were so many good heels in NWA. So many good heels in NWA. Yes, I agree, Robert. Lexa's getting great at drawing heat. I totally agree with that. 100%. Especially that swerve. Oh, it was beautiful. That swerve promo she did. Freebirds were great at being heels. Absolutely. I agree with that as well. You had, I absolutely loved that swerve promo that Alexa Bliss had when she won the Elimination Chamber. I saw it coming from a mile away personally, but I was excited about it. I was like, oh, let's see how she does this. And as soon as she clicked that, and they just having the crowd in the palm of your hands without doing a single wrestling hold. That, ladies and gentlemen, is professional wrestling. Period. It's a shame that Rick was never world champ. Yeah, absolutely. Got a bunch of comments here. Yeah, great interaction. Great interaction as far as just the face heel dynamic. Great interaction in the live chat there. Next headline, we got so somehow Gronkowski got into that, so which was great. So I'll start talking about Roman Reigns. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Gronk is. I think he'll be a good celebrity presence for SummerSlam. And does he? He could feud against Mojo. They could do that angle as far as him feuding. It'd be good for Mojo. It'd be a good spot for him. But I don't know. I'm just not buying Mojo Rawley. I'm just he's just. I think him as a heel isn't doing it. I think there's just so much with him that just there's more time for him to. He's got a lot of growing to do. That's really what it boils down to. He's got a lot of growing to do, there's a lot of time that he needs to do as far as Gronk is concerned. Do you want to put him in a big spot like that? With Gronk. I don't think so. I don't think so. there's so much left, with him growing. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what that happen. As far as comments here in the chat room, yeah, I mean, I think that's see here's my problem with Gronk. He's got more time left. He's got. I think the PC, as far as Gronk is concerned, the PC, great. I mean, fantastic. Fantastic with the PC, fantastic with the training. So they've got that fine. They've got that on deck. No problem with that at all. But at the same time, it's like, do we want to waste? I mean, do we want to spend our time as WWE fans, WWE universe, WWE universe? Do we want to spend our time investing in an angle with Rob Gronkowski and Mojo Rawley? Mojo Interest Music. Thank you, Luke. Yes. Right. Okay, so we got a few. Yes. Alexa Bliss's promo with Nia was amazing. I agree with that. It was very, very good. The only thing, we'll talk about Raw here in a minute. The only thing, I don't want to see Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss. I mean, I don't think they should make Nia Jax a babyface. I think she's a great heel. Keep her heel. I definitely don't want to see a heel versus heel at Mania. I think that would be a bad idea. You lost against Nia Jax to get on Raw, and then to get on the card, the main event, and then you lose against Asuka again. And so I'm just not a fan of that. I don't think Nia Jax should be. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Nia versus Alexa. Nia Jax is a babyface. She better turn heel very quickly if she turns babyface for Mania. I don't want to see her as a babyface. Okay, so that was a good comment. And then Mojo Entrance Music is horrible. Yes, I agree. I've said that before on my show. I think Mojo Rawley's entrance music is probably the worst entrance music in WWE, period. It's terrible. How in the world are you going to develop a strong heel? He made a heel turn. How are you going to develop this guy into being a strong heel if his entrance music is horrible? It is absolutely horrible. Nothing about his entrance music screams villainous heel. None of it does. It's terrible. Got a comment, Granny. How about the no-win record for Kurt Hawkins and his new T-shirt? That's so bad. Yeah. I had Tyler Rex on my show a few weeks back for the second time, and he was talking about, because him and Kurt Hawkins, they used to tag together, of course, and he was talking about the losing streak of Kurt Hawkins, and so yeah, go back and watch that and listen to that interview. And as far as him sharing his thoughts on that. And I agree with them too. Just it takes a lot of patience. Kudos to Kurt Hawkins to be, this is his WWE career, ladies and gentlemen, to lose over 150 times without winning a single match. And yeah, wow, it's quite sad. All right, real quick, Young Bucks. So Young Bucks tease a match with Sheamus and Cesaro. King Kong Bundy is the correct answer. I think we already figured that out. Real quick, here's another trivia question. Who retained the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 11? Who retained the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 11? Yeah, so Young Bucks teasing a match with Sheamus and Cesaro. It's pretty interesting that they're kind of writing this out as far as WWE is concerned, allowing it to happen, because the WWE, Chris Jericho said this on his podcast. I forgot who he was. I forgot who he was interviewing, but he was talking about how WWE is very serious about that. Like they pay attention to Twitter accounts of their competitor, of their wrestlers, of people who are wrestling under the WWE umbrella. They pay very close attention to that, and so saying that saying that is and doing that, kind of doing the whole thing. But in all fairness, though, it wasn't. Sheamus kind of cast out the invitation, which is also a very interesting WrestleMania angle, an open invitation for the Raw Championships. You know, they got a month left. That can lead up to some very interesting things as far as who's going to be the championship. Bubba Ray Dudley, he responded to it. He said the Dudley's picture, put the Dudley's picture on there, and he kind of, unofficially accepted the open invitation. And it'll be interesting too, because the Dudleys are going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So do they go against? So they get inducted in the Hall of Fame. The ceremony is Friday night because NXT is Saturday night. So Friday get inducted. Sunday they compete against the Bar for the titles and become 10-time champions. That would be quite interesting. And they officially retire together, and then they have a Raw Tag Team Title tournament. What the heck? What the heck? Send everybody home happy. I'm sure there's other options as far as. See, I would be more interested. I mean, in these months, like May, June, those are usually the two of the off months as far as WWE, as far as resetting things and just kind of getting to the thick of things as far as just the restart of the pro wrestling year. The reset button comes in April, and then so the end of April, May, and June are usually the 3 months that's are kind of like the off season of the WWE. You got a comment, Devon is out of shape. Didn't call the Hardys, call out the New Day while in TNA. I think calling out that would be kind of they beat the New Day though, so their biggest thing is we beat all these teams and there's nobody else left, so they beat the New Day. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they have a team that they haven't, because they beat the Hardys last year. They won the titles from the Hardys. So a team that they didn't beat, I don't think they beat the Dudleys. So, but I mean, like, like the comment, Devon is, he's a WWE agent backstage. He doesn't care a lick about wrestling anymore, which I totally understand. He's paid his dues and he's eating well. He's eating well. And, spending some time as an agent. So I don't know. It's interesting. Young Bucks responded to it. I believe it's Nick Jackson that said that they're available on that day. But here's at the end of the day, this is what it's going to lead to. It's going to lead to nothing, which is smart for Nick Jackson because it's causing a lot of talk. So yeah, that would be interesting. Here's the thing. They signed a 2-year contract with ROH. It's up this December. So just contractually, they can't do the match. And so it's not going to happen at WrestleMania. But, I mean, it helps the Young Bucks. I mean, they've got that all-in event coming in September. So it helps them with the publicity. So kudos to that. I got a comment. They haven't beat Sanity or the Authors of Pain. I want to see Authors of Pain or Sanity against War Machine before either of them get called up. I can see Authors of Pain, but I don't. Do you give the Authors of Pain the titles their first day of Mania? I don't think you do that. I don't think you give them the titles right before, like the same day of their debut. I don't think that they're strong enough. I mean, they look the part to just be champions their first day, of coming on the at Mania. But do you give them the titles? See, you wouldn't want the Bar to beat them because that wouldn't make sense. But do you have them win the Raw Tag Team titles their first night? Very interesting. Very, very interesting to see how that goes. Authors of Pain would make a perfect team, as far as just a dominant team that's, we've beat everybody, but the Authors of Pain, come up. But you still have that Dusty Classic. And so we'll see. We'll see. Authors of Pain could be. I don't think Sanity should be should be it. I like Sanity, but I think Sanity is really good for NXT. I don't know how successful they'll be on the main roster. All right, so real quick, let's get into Raw and SmackDown. I haven't got an answer for who retained the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 11. Have I stumped you all? Who retained the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 11? What is the answer to that? As far as Raw is concerned, I've touched on Raw. I've touched on most of Raw. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So real quick, Angle and Triple H, Stephanie and Ronda Rousey, the mixed tag. So Angle, Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie. I know for Triple H and Stephanie it's cool because I don't think that they're a married couple. They're the Authority. Is there Diesel? That's correct. Diesel is the correct answer. Great job, Diesel. So Stephanie and Triple H, they didn't do it through the Authority angle. During that time, they didn't have a match together at WrestleMania, so it makes sense to have Triple H and Stephanie together. As long as they've been married, they've never had that type of mixed tag team match together at Mania, so that's a big deal for them. I'm totally okay with that. However, I like the Rousey thing. I mean, it's definitely a huge deal. It's a box office, boom for WWE putting Rousey in the spot. I think the promo, I like the face, I like the smile, and that the face of fear, not fear for her, but fear of others of her. So I like that. I like the transition to the smiles, to that big face that I'm about to kill you type deal. But here's the thing, and I might not. Someone's saying Braun should tag with Ronda. No, see, I don't. I'm not totally opposed to that, but I'm not a big fan of Angle tagging with her though. I just as much of a legend that Kurt Angle is. I mean, well-deserved Hall of Famer. I was at the Hall of Fame last year. Awesome. Absolutely. Someone said I should get a prize for knowing all this wrestling history. Keep the questions coming. I got another trivia question for you before we get off the show here. So, I mean, okay, here's the thing. There's no doubt in my mind Kurt Angle is one of the greatest of all time. WWE, Impact Wrestling, Pro Wrestling, period. That's above what I'm about to say. But here's the thing. So with Kurt Angle, with his return at I think it was TLC that he came back, or was it No Mercy? I think it was TLC. It was TLC. With that and with Survivor Series, I think that heavily diluted Angle's kind of luster and desire for me to see him compete again, because both of those matches, it was off. It wasn't. I understand he's getting older now. He's just about 50. I think he turns 50 this year, if I'm not mistaken. So 50 years old, and okay, can still go at 50, but I mean, of course, he looks older. Yeah, so he turns 50 in December. So Kurt Angle is going to be 50 years old in December. So you got a 50-year-old man, and he's had some years on him. He's had a few broken freaking necks, and I mean, I think all of that was pretty apparent the times that he came back at TLC and at Survivor Series. And so I'm not very enthused to him back. I mean, like I said last week, I'm sure it'll change when the music comes on, and I still get bothered when people chant "You suck" to Kurt Angle when he's a babyface. I don't know. I guess it's just the pettiness. There's probably petty to some people, but I still stand by it. I think we chant "You suck" to Kurt Angle. I kind of want to make them change it to the ECW music, the kind of revised, revamped Kurt Angle music when he had an ECW, which I liked a whole lot. I kind of want them to change it to that for a while, just because there wasn't like an opportunity for them to chant that. But I just don't like when they do that when he's a babyface. It's kind of weird. But at the same time, the music is, legendary. The pop will be huge. But I mean, Ronda Rousey, someone's going to have to carry Ronda Rousey, as far as just experience is concerned. Now, I've seen videos where she's been training. She, with the exception of the 2 past losses in UFC, she was a monster. She trained her butt off. She's an amazing trainer, amazing fighter. We get that. We get the intensity that she has as far as her training is concerned. However, she's green in the ring, so MMA and pro wrestling, as far as endurance training, as far as just training, hitting those ropes and all around, much different, than MMA. And I've trained for both, actually. I've trained for both pro wrestling. I did freestyle wrestling. I trained for both that, and I trained for MMA. And personally, it's a difference. So we'll see. But I'm just, I'd prefer, of course, The Rock would have been the best option. But they don't want to, filmmakers and all that, they don't want to make him hurt again like he did a few years back. So, and then, my pick for the past few weeks have been Bobby Lashley. I think Bobby Lashley would have been a really, really good choice. But they're not. They're deciding not to do with that. As far as the rest of the Raw is concerned, it'd be interesting. I'm interested in the Bayley Sasha match. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if that's locked in for WrestleMania. But I'll be totally fine with that. This will be the first non-gimmicked singles women's wrestling match ever, I believe, without a title. No title, non-title singles women's wrestling match. I think this will be the first one ever. So if that happens, so it'll be really interesting. Okay, real quick. So this Cena Goldust thing was just so weird to me. It was so weird, and I'm just going to tell you what I was thinking at the time. I was saying, okay, is Goldust drunk here? I mean, he's done a fantastic job, just kind of revamping his life, and yeah. So I mean, that was what was in my head. Like, is Goldust okay? After this whole thing happened, it confused the heck out of me. I was totally confused after all this. It was just so weird and confusing. But I was thinking, man, what is this? What is this promo about? What is he saying? What is he doing? What is going on? This is so weird. I don't know what the heck was going on. And I was concerned for Goldust for a little bit. I hope he's okay. But that promo was just odd. It was just really, really odd. So I was more sympathetic for Goldust at the end. He was trying to cut a heel promo, but I had sympathy for him. I just wondering if he was okay. Just the whole thing with Cena was just really weird. It was kind of pointless to me. So all in all, it was okay. I wasn't too thrilled by Raw. But yeah, it was okay. We talked about the Rollins. We talked about the ending with Reigns and Heyman. I like Rollins and Miz versus and Balor for the Intercontinental Championship. I think that'll be a fantastic match at WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to that match. Bray and Matt, the compound thing, it should be pretty interesting. Like I've said before, Bray Wyatt, he has this thing about just continuing to have this long, drawn-out feuds that leads nowhere. And I don't know, maybe I have a soft spot for Rhino, but what the heck? It's just, why are they just having Rhino getting squashed like that so much? As far as SmackDown is concerned, I tweeted this, man. They did a really, really good promo vignette for the Usos and the New Day. Oh man, I know I'll be there, and I think that's going to be fantastic. So I'm excited about that match. I'm excited to see it live, and I think they should have done it at WrestleMania. So for some reason, we'll get to predictions here in just a little bit, but I think we're going to get some type of Bludgeon Brothers triple threat match. I don't want to see that. I would have rather seen that. I would have rather seen that on Fastlane. You can do a triple threat. You can have some type of Bludgeon Brothers, costing Usos or New Day beating up all of them up or something like that. You could have New Day go against the Bludgeon Brothers to see who's the number one contender. Then you can do the new Usos versus the New Day one-on-one at Mania. That match would have torn the house down, because I definitely know it's going to do that at Fastlane. That would have been one of the most interesting matches. We'll see where they'll lead to as far as what they're going to do, but it seems like they're going to do a triple threat. I'm just not interested in that at all. When is Carmella going to cash in her Money in the Bank? Dolph Ziggler, just yikes. Sami Zayn winning. With Jinder Mahal winning, they may just throw him in the match, the U.S. title match, which would make sense. I'm totally okay with that. I'm okay with Jinder Mahal as a mid-card talent. I think it's a good call. Sami Zayn winning that 5-way, made him look important. It seems like I don't want to see Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens at Mania, though. We've seen that way too much. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all. Vanguard 1 has returned. Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't mind seeing Ronda turn heel at Mania and having a Heyman manager. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that either. Yeah, I'd totally be okay with that. Cena versus Goldust in the backlot brawl. Absolutely. Raw needs to go back to 2 hours. Yeah, I agree. Raw needs to go back to 2 hours. If they make the deal with Fox Sports, I mean, Colin Cowherd came in. I think was it SmackDown last week? I believe it was. He was in appearance. There were some other Fox executives there to watch it. That's the reason why they beefed it up so much and had Cena versus Styles. So if they do this Fox deal, that would have to be 2 hours anyways, because they have their news, I believe, the 10 o'clock hour. So it would be 2 hours. So if they do this Fox deal, hopefully so, we'll get 2 hours again. Vanguard 1 has returned. Yes. All right. Trivia question. What was the main event of WrestleMania 11? What was the main event of WrestleMania 11? All right, so let's get into the flavor of the week real quick before we get into the Elimination Chamber. Not Elimination Chamber, Fastlane. Elimination Chamber was last month. Before we get to the Fastlane predictions, let's talk about the WrestleMania 9. So just your thoughts. Do you think that WrestleMania 9 was truly the worst WrestleMania of all time? Do you think that WrestleMania 9 was in fact the worst WrestleMania of all time? So we're going to talk about that at the flavor of the week. We'll see your thoughts on it and see how you feel about it. As far as was it truly Was it truly the worst? Why does it get so much flack? Why do people crap on WrestleMania 9 so much? And we'll get your thoughts on that with the flavor of the week here. WrestleMania 9. Yeah, I as far as how I think about it, we'll see. drum roll for how I think about it. We'll be right back.
Time for the flavor of the week.
Do I think it was the worst of all time? 11 was not very good either. So 11 gives us some pretty good competition, actually, as far as just the worst of all time. But 9 was, the whole Caesar's Palace, the whole gimmick type of deal. It was pretty bad. Yeah, it was quite bad. I think that because the matches were so off. And okay, so I'm gonna go through the card. I'm gonna run down the card as far as just what matches were there. And then the Hogan thing at the end was just kind of odd too. Okay, so you had Tatanka defeating Shawn Michaels by countout, so he didn't win the Intercontinental Championship, but it was for the Intercontinental Championship. Steiner Brothers defeating the Head Shrinkers to retain. There was a tag team match. There were a few with the Head Shrinkers at the time. I remember the Doink Crush feud that they had was quite interesting. That was when Doink was kind of like the evil Doink, and Crush still was rocking the orange. So he beat Crush. Razor Ramon defeating Bob Backlund. So yeah, that was just kind of like a filler match. Money Inc. defeating the Mega Maniacs by disqualification, so they retained the championship at that time. Luger defeating Perfect in a singles match. Then you had Undertaker. I think there was his only disqualification win that he had when he beat John Gonzalez. So that was odd. Yokozuna. Okay, so then you have the Yokozuna defeating Bret Hart, and then Hogan defeating Yokozuna in like 20 seconds. I think it was a little over 20 seconds. So I think all in all, probably was the worst pay-per-view of all time. I may go back on that, but as far as I think it rightfully gets the negative flack that it deserves to have. It was quite a bad WrestleMania. So I don't think I think I'm just gonna look at all the WrestleManias. One of these days when I have enough time, I'm just gonna watch them and just really see. I might even write about it. Really see if WrestleMania 9 was indeed the worst WrestleMania of all time. So as of now, the answer is yes. Right now, the answer is yes. So, all right, so let's get to these Fastlane predictions, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to these Fastlane predictions. All right, so we have, as far as matches are concerned, I'm looking forward to it. As a matter of fact, Pancakes and Powerslams show will be at Boston's, right across the street from the Nationwide Arena. 3:30 in Columbus, Ohio. We'll be sporting our Pancakes and Powerslams shirts. So come visit us. Come chat. Let's talk about wrestling. We'll take pictures, and we'll have some fun at Boston's before the Fastlane pay-per-view. 3:30 Boston's. Meet us there at the Pancakes and Powerslams show. I'll be there. Let's talk wrestling. Let's eat some good food, and let's go over some talks about WWE Fastlane with the Pancakes and Powerslams show. Once again, we'll be at Boston's at 3:30. The restaurant Boston's 3:30, across the street from the Nationwide Arena. at 3:30, right before Fastlane on Sunday. All right, so we have, let's see, Becky Lynch and Naomi versus Natalya and Carmella. They just threw this match together on SmackDown. I've got the baby faces, Lynch and Naomi. What this leads to? Maybe a multi-woman match. I have no clue what this leads to. Let's see. Someone saying the best is 17. Yeah. Someone saying 20 is the best. Yeah, it could be. Seven. What was the worst to you? Do you think 9 was indeed the worst? That's my deal. Do you think that WrestleMania 9 was the worst of all time? So it'll be interesting to see your thoughts on that. See if it was the worst of all time in your opinion. So who else we got? We got Charlotte versus Ruby Riott. I kind of threw this together. I've got Charlotte winning this. Good spot for Ruby, good opportunity for Ruby Riott. I don't really see anything else for Ruby Riott when it comes to just her. Yeah, I don't see anything else for Ruby Riott when it comes to just. It's a good opportunity for her. I mean, I'll say that much. The promo that she had wasn't very good, unfortunately. She's trying, at least there's some type of explanation of why the Riott Squad formed after the promo that she had with Charlotte. But really, other than that, nothing much. Nothing much for her. So I got Charlotte winning. I think it's just totally a placeholder. Totally a placeholder feud with Charlotte and Ruby Riott, just to see. And here's the thing: this is what I think may happen. I think that Asuka may be appearing at the end of the match between Charlotte and Ruby Riott. So I think that there could be life in this SmackDown Women's title picture. So yeah, because it's not been pretty good. It's not been very good at all. So yeah, we'll see. So I've got Charlotte beating Ruby Riott. I've got Usos and New Day. I don't see a clean finish here. I see the Bludgeon Brothers. I see them attacking both of them. So we'll probably have a bet. As far as Bobby Roode and okay, yeah. So Jinder Mahal is added into it. Triple threat now. I think that Roode retains. Yeah, I think that Roode retains, and somehow we'll have these people involved in the. And Mania as well, maybe with a fourth person. And then, of course, AJ Styles wins the six-pack challenge. I'm pretty sure that was. So we're getting. So I'm getting a bunch of people saying 2 is the worst. Okay, WrestleMania 2 was the worst. Interesting. Well, I thought, what was that? Was 2 Piper T? Piper Mr. T was WrestleMania 2. Boxing match between 2 was the 3 stadiums, weren't it? Yeah, I think 2 was the 3 stadiums, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, some people saying 2. Got people saying 2 being the worst, huh? So 2 being worse than 9. I'm not quite sure about that, because what was Hogan Bundy? Was Hogan Bundy 2 as well? Yeah, wasn't 2 Hogan Bundy? Because 4 was when Savage won. I think 5 was the Mega Powers Explode. 6 was Hogan Warrior, right? Yeah, Hogan Bundy was 2. Then the Bulldogs against the Dream Team. And then T and Piper for the boxing match. So, I'm still going 9. I don't think 2 was as worse as 9 was. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so it's been a pleasure as always. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 310th episode of the Pancakes and Powerslams show. Great show as always. Thank you so much for all the wonderful interaction on the Wrestling Inc. Facebook page. We are here every week, 11:30, depending on the slot of the interview. So just join us, join the video cast, and of course, join the Facebook fan page Crave Wrestling, join Twitter at Crave Wrestling, and we'll be seeing these videos on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube page. So go to the Wrestling Inc. YouTube page, and on top of the Pancakes and Powerslam show, you got so many awesome things on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube page. You got the podcast, you got the headlines, news stuff, interviews, all types of fun stuff on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube page. And also, of course, WrestlingInc.com is your place to be when it comes to news and headlines. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 310th episode of the Pancakes and Powerslam show. We are one step closer to WrestleMania. I'll be at Fastlane, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be at Boston's across the street from Fastlane at 3:30. Come join us. Come join the Pancakes and Powerslam show. We'll be having some fun, eating some good food, talking some wrestling. So come join us at Boston if you are attending the Fastlane pay-per-view. Until your Wicked Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen, until next week, enjoy your Wicked Wrestling. God bless you all. Have a good night, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.